and we got a lot of stuff that we really don't need. Hello, and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Shein, and this is the Daily Shade. On this channel, my goal is to help you look good and feel seen. And of course, if you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much for tuning in and being a real one. So I'm going to be talking about something that's actually been on my mind for a little bit, and it's about overconsumption, y'all. We got a lot of stuff. And we got a lot of stuff that we really don't need. I do want to quickly shout out Politics and Fashion to Shira, because she did a video talking about her personal steps towards being less consuming. I thought it was a really great video, extremely hilarious. So please go watch it if you haven't. That inspired me with this video because genuinely it's something that I've already been thinking about. My mindset is shifting around being an influencer, especially being a fashion-based influencer. I do feel like how I'm approaching the industry is changing, and I do feel a slight pivot happening, at least with how I'm approaching fashion content. Just being more intentional about how I do share fashion content. Y'all, the planet is suffering, and it's suffering for a lot of different reasons. How we consume products and goods definitely has a lot to do with that. So if you are okay with being a little uncomfortable talking about why we need to control our consuming, then just continue watching. So I do have a couple points on here on my handy dandy iPad. First point, the rise of influencer culture. I hate to say it, but a slight negative influence on how we consume. So I do feel like the rise of affiliate marketing as well has kind of led into this idea of showing people, hey, you need this, you need this, you need this, and people being like, yes, I want it, I want it, I want it. There's a lot of things that we desire, a lot of things that we're saying like, yes, I want this in my closet, and then we kind of go on this like binging shopping spree. And I call it binging because in the same way that, you know, there can be binging of a lot of different things, I do think that there can be binge shopping happening with a lot of people and they don't even realize it. We're just buying for the sake of either fulfilling a certain desire or hoping that, you know, you get that like endorphin rush. I say this from experience. As an influencer, I've likely contributed to this. I also know that I've never really been that person to really like push sales, because it's just something that I've never felt fully comfortable with, especially having experienced what it's like to, I guess, be in a state of not having a lot of it. And so I do feel like the rise of influencer culture has definitely impacted how much we're consuming. I mean, from the Amazon hauls, Zara hauls, those are the two main ones, Walmart hauls, and you know, we can go into a whole topic about some of these companies and their ethical practices. You know, we definitely can, and that could be a topic for another day. In an effort to share content or share how things look, a lot of influencers will buy a lot of things, try it on, show it, and then return it. I was guilty of that. Yeah. Way back in the day, I was trying to really like, you know, be consistent on YouTube. I did like a few Zara hauls, and as time went on, I would keep the stuff, but in the beginning, I wasn't. I would do a Zara haul and then I would return it until I became more knowledgeable about the whole return process and what that even looks like, and like that kind of supply chain and where the clothes really end up when it's returned. And the same goes for, you know, the consumer. You're buying something for the hope of like, you know, trying different things on. And I get it. Some brands are digital only. They're only online. So all you can do is hopefully buy something and then see if you can, you know, fit it. I'm not saying that you can't do that, but I'm saying like buying $1,000 worth of stuff from Shein and then returning 800 of it that will likely go into a landfill is part of the problem. And that definitely ties into this idea of keeping up with the Joneses. It's something that I had to recognize within myself at one point in time, where I literally felt like, you know, I needed to do these things in order to propel myself in my influencer career, in order to show that I too can afford these things. I too can wear these things. I too can get my hands on these things before anybody else gets them. It's become glaringly obvious just how much a lot of how we consume is based on how we want other people to perceive us. And as somebody who is a recovering people pleaser, I've talked about this all over my socials, I have had to realize that if a lot of my fashion consumption choices are based on how people are going to interpret, you know, what they see, then I need to do a little bit of reevaluation. I feel like I have to keep giving disclaimers because, you know, things can be taken out of context. But I'm not saying that you can't buy stuff, and I'm not saying that you can't treat yourself, or I'm not saying that you can't treat yourself to something really nice. But I do think that it's important to think when you are going to buy something, or when you are buying a bunch of things, where is that coming from? Is it literally coming from just a desire to want to have these things in your wardrobe? Or is you, like, in the back of your mind, be real honest with yourself? Because I love to be honest with myself and give myself the real. Like, is this because you like this stuff, or is it because you feel like, you know, other people will like it on you, and therefore now you like it because it's kind of giving off a certain message? Question you got to ask yourself. And I think that a lot of people say, like, there's no ethical consumption under capitalism. To a certain extent, a lot of things we consume, unfortunately, there are some like morally gray ethics around it. But that don't mean that you get to spend $500 at Shein and say there's no ethical consumption under capitalism. That's not how that works. If you're gonna say that, you at least have to acknowledge and be aware of how you're contributing to that. I've seen people where they'll say, oh, I bought something for vacation and then I donated when I came back from vacation. Why? You can't just get something and then dump it somewhere and say like, okay, my hands are washed clean, I've done my due diligence. I don't think that's fair. This is no linear path of just like you go from 0 to 100 where, you know, one day you're consuming something and next day you're just not, but you can do more. Let's be honest, we can all do more. You don't have to spend $500 at Shein. Maybe you spend $100 and then you keep those things. You let it last. And I think that is trying to be as socially responsible as you can, given your maybe budget constraints. I do not adhere to the idea that like people who have less than don't deserve to like look good. I do definitely think we all do deserve to like look our best, but also I think we can do so at the top of mind. And that also goes for people who have a lot of money. Like just because you're uber wealthy, uber rich doesn't mean that you just get to also just randomly consume everything and just buy because you just have the money to do so without thinking about the impact of what you're buying and how that's impacting just the world as a whole. And that gets me to my point, rewear your items. This idea, and I think again it goes back to kind of social media culture as a whole, that we can't rewear the things we bought. I feel like y'all have seen me wear this particular top a lot of times on my YouTube. I love this turtleneck so much. It was gifted to me from a brand called Intimissimi, but honestly, if I would have known about this prior to, I would have bought it for myself. And underneath I have a Spanx turtleneck, which I have also shown on this channel a gajillion million times. Now these are items that I genuinely love and enjoy, and I've worn it a bunch of times in a bunch of different ways. We're losing the art of just re-wearing your things, and I'm talking about outfit repeating, wearing the same thing head to toe on a different day. This idea that repeating our outfits is like taboo. I don't even care if the person has already seen it already. You've seen it and you're gonna see it again. You can rewear your outfits, and that is a great way to aid and curb your overconsumption. If you are actively wearing the stuff in your closet, I promise you, this idea that you need to add to it will likely lessen, because you're realizing that, oh, I can make multiple looks out of different items in my wardrobe. And that definitely goes into shopping smartly. And I mentioned that in my shop better video, where if you want to like consume more ethically and consume a little better, you need to shop better. You need to shop more mindfully, thinking about how something can work your wardrobe for the long term versus for a short term thing. I don't necessarily believe in shopping for vacation anymore. I did, for sure. You want to have a cute little vacation wardrobe. I do think maybe adding a few things depending on where you're vacationing. I'm not against that, but you can absolutely wear those things again in your home country or wear those things again on another vacation. And I do believe that goes into kind of like, you know, investing in certain things. I think that a lot of times when things are really cheap, we think like, oh, this was only $5, which is wild to me, but it's only $5. Like, I don't need to wear it again. I could just, you know, throw it in the trash or, you know, donate it. I think if we put the same thought to a $5 piece, to a $150 piece, to a $500 piece, as a collective, we'll be better consumers overall. I know for a fact, a lot of the clothes in my closet, I don't need. Like, I just like them. I want them in my wardrobe. But there came a point in time, and I'm still gonna hold on to this, where my closet was full. And I ran out of all my hangers. And I was like, you know what? I'm not buying any more hangers, because if I buy more hangers, it's just gonna prompt me to want to fill those hangers up. So instead, if I do add something new to my wardrobe, I will have to give something away. Give it to a family member, give it to a friend, or donate it, or sell it if I could. At a point, I was getting overwhelmed with my own closet. I was like, I'm overwhelmed. All this stuff is in here. And to a point, it's like, do I even know what I have? Do I know what I own? Overwhelming. I don't want to look at it. And then I'm like, oh, I don't have anything to wear. Yes, you do, girl. You just got too much. You got too much to wear, which is giving you decision paralysis. Earlier, I mentioned about, you know, a $5 piece, $150 piece, and like a $500 piece. And I do believe that sometimes this idea of duping things also kind of makes things feel a little bit more frivolous. I'm not necessarily against dupe culture. I think that there is some nuance and layering there. I do not necessarily think that duping is bad to a certain extent. Dupe culture kind of gives this idea that things can be easily discarded just because it's not the real deal. I feel a little less attached, because it's just like, oh, this was like $15. Like, oh, I can let this go. It feeds into this idea that things can be easily replaced. Yes, it's a $15 bag, but treat it like it's a $3,000 bag. Treat it as if you would treat a very expensive item. You can definitely extend it for years and years to come, and you're delaying kind of like that life cycle of just buy, trash it. I mentioned about understanding why you're buying into things and why you're wanting things. We have to be honest. While shopping does kind of release endorphins and feel good feelings, sometimes we're trying to mask something else. We're trying to cover up something else. It could be feeling unloved. It could be feeling stressed out at work. It could be feeling insecure, unmotivated. You feel like you need some sort of motivating factor to get you to do something. If I buy a new workout set, I'm going to feel motivated to go to the gym or go to a workout class. If I buy this outfit, I'm going to be motivated to get outside more. Not all those reasons are bad, but I do think it's good to take a good moment to reflect on the why. This shopping is trying to curb a certain feeling that I'm trying to ignore, and maybe I don't need to ignore the feeling. Maybe I need to face it head on. You feel good, you don't feel good, you feel good, you don't feel good. It becomes a cycle, and then eventually you find yourself in this immense amount of debt just because you wanted to shop your feelings away. I get it. Life is hard, y'all. 2023, 2024, I could not shop the way I wanted to. And let me tell you, it forced me to reflect. It forced me to sit with my feelings. When money was flowing, when I had a sad feeling, I would quite literally just go shopping. I was like, oh, shopping will make me feel better. That's when they say retail therapy. It really does make you feel better. Temporarily. So I say this with love and somebody who's also experienced it. Think about why you're shopping and how, what the root cause of it is. And that will also likely help your over consuming and over consumption. So on my end, because I can't say all this stuff and not actually take accountability for how I've, contributed to this, maturity, thank God for that. Maturity, growth, and just some years of experience has taught me all those things, all this stuff is temporary, all this stuff is material. Yes, I still love a good dressing up. Being very, very aware of how I'm shopping, taking stock of my fast fashion shopping. And I do have another video where I'm going to be talking about how I'm elevating my personal style. But one of the points in that video is shopping a little bit more niche. And when I say niche, I mean small businesses. It's going to be an effort for me to search out these businesses. That is something that I have a desire to pour into and to give my money to my community, but also give my money to other minority owned businesses. But at the same time, that will also allow me to still be able to do something that I enjoy, which is shopping, without necessarily making a big old negative impact on the environment, or at least on my community. The reason why I have kind of been dibble dabbling into smaller businesses because I usually do smaller batches. And when it's sold out, it's gone. It's no longer available. And things will sell out within a week, if that. Sometimes it sells out within a day. And if you didn't get it, you didn't get your hands on it. I saw a video where there are ships of just clothing being sent to places in Western Africa, particularly I believe it was some countries on the coast of Africa. It saddened me because I was just these are mounds of clothes, literally mountains of clothes. And the people there, yeah, they're probably searching through it. I saw the video where they're searching through it to try to maybe sell, but at the end of the day, this is product that hasn't either sold or there's a defective product, so they can't even be worn properly because something is wrong with them. And companies are literally dumping these things in countries where they don't see them, but it's okay, out of sight, out of mind. Just in the same way we do out of sight, out of mind when we buy something and we just dump it somewhere at a donation center. We say, okay, I did my due diligence, out of sight, out of mind. Clothing doesn't necessarily just break down, it just sits. We wouldn't stand for that. So why is it that companies feel so comfortable doing that to another country? I mean, we know why. Capitalism and greed, but still. Which also means that how I do fashion influencing is going to adjust a little bit. I'm not shopping like that. I will buy a few things, but I'm just not shopping hauls. I'm not showing you guys an Amazon thing every other day. That's just not me. And it's just not something that I would ever want to subscribe to because I don't like the idea of my income being attached to how you are shopping and shopping at these places. And if I'm going to call myself an influencer, then I want to be able to at least influence in a way that's positive. We as the people need to do our parts to ensure that we're leaving this world a better place than when we first came here. I hope that this video gives you some insight. This is not a pull your hand, pull your leg video to make you feel forced to do anything. You have the right to do whatever you want, but do understand that whatever you want also has some consequences. This video is only just to give you some insight and to hopefully kind of change your mind and change your thinking when it comes to how you shop and why you shop. Thank you so much for watching. If you did like it, please give it a thumbs up. If you like the vibe I'm giving, please feel free to subscribe. I would love to have you join this little family. As always, I will catch y'all in my next video. Until next time, bye.